What's the point of evolution if it's not a revolution?
Reading to me is mandatory.
Reading to me is tedious.
It's entertaining.
Interesting.
Random.
I would say wonderful.
It's ubiquitous. That's how you pronounce it? I don't know.
Ubiquitous.
It's relaxing.
It's arduous.
Knowledge.
Exhilarating.
As intriguing.
Spectacular.
Is fascinating.
Exciting.
Reading to us is stressful.
Reading is beneficial.
Fun.
Reading for me is nutritious. Like a carrot, you know?
I'm gonna say yes, but most likely I won't.
I do not plan on reading during the summer because I'm going abroad and I do not have time, so I'm not just going to read. It's not that I don't like it, it's just that I just have no time.
I do. I have quite a few books that, not like on my next list, but I do plan to read a few other titles throughout the summer. Like, I have a few Stephen King books that I've never read before just sitting at home that'll probably pick up. And they're all like 1,000 pages or more, so that'll entertain me.
Yes, I do plan on reading over the summer. I have a very long next list I would like to read.
I hope I read over the summer. I actually just got a few books that I hope to finish before school starts next year. I probably will since I will have nothing else to do.
Yes, I do plan on reading over the summer because I found throughout the year that it helps me relax and wind down after a long day.
I'm not planning on reading this summer. Maybe a little.
Maybe like a book.
Or a half of a book.
Probably. Like when you're on the beach or something you can read, but
the sun's usually in your eyes, so.
Yeah, and then you really don't want to read.
One memorable quote from a book I got was The Giver, and it is, "The worst part of holding the memories is not the pain, it's the loneliness of it. Memories need to be shared."
Small ankles and her pale gold hair, Lucy was a creature designed for an earlier sensibility. Her shape unfashionable, perhaps, but gorgeous. There is no dog.
Dignity is as essential to human life as water, food, and oxygen. The stubborn retention of it, even in the face of extreme hardships, can hold a man's soul and his body's long past the point at which the body should have surrendered it.
Book that should be made into a movie is Awakened by Katie Kaczynski.
You know, what book do you think should be turned into a movie?
I think that Winger should be turned into a movie because it's relatable to all teenagers, especially in high school. So, yeah.
Before, my favorite genre was history books, and now it's like action and adventure books.
When I choose a book, I always make sure it's fiction.
I personally like some action meaning to it, something that you can reflect upon, something you can relate to.
I completed the family member giving you a book to read and having them suggest a book to you, and that was an awful book, so I'm not going to do that again.
What book was it?
The Pearl by John Steinbeck.
Why didn't you like it?
It was really boring, and I didn't like it at all.
This year, I read 7 books so far. Before this year, I haven't actually read anything outside of class texts. I always thought 2 books would be too much of a hassle, considering all the work that goes into class texts.
Well, before we started independent reading, I didn't read that much. I could never find time, or I just decided I wanted to do other activities instead. But now I find I'm able to read a bit more on my own, while also becoming more engaged in the novels that I read. I really believe I'm slowly growing to love reading.
I read 8 books. I'm about to finish 9. Through the other years, I just never read at all.
This year I think I read about 10 books, and last year I really don't remember reading any books for pure enjoyment. I just read the books that were assigned to me, so it's a big improvement from last year.
My favorite book of the year was Will Grayson, because it was comical and had an overall good message.
Have to be Ender's Game, probably my favorite book. About a kid who's like, on the surface, there's like 1 billion copies of it right there, but on the surface, thanks. It's a story about a kid who's supposed to save the human race from this so-called like threatening alien race.
An important book for me is The Shining. It really just like sparked reading for me and made me have interest in like other books. It like opened my world.
What I enjoyed the most this year was 13 Reasons Why. It's really interesting and it relates to high school and how kids act with one another.
I enjoyed the most this year was 19 Minutes.
Probably like either The Princess Bride or The Circle, because The Princess Bride is like great and funny and cool, but The Circle was like interesting and had a lot of different things going on. It was cool. They're both good.
The book that I enjoyed most this year was Life of Pi.
Plan on reading.
I personally plan on reading The Princess Bride, American Sniper, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, The Book Thief, The Stand, World War Z, The Long Walk, and The Road.
Right now on my next list I have 2 more series, the Reckoner series and the Legend series. After that I'll just pick new books from my other series.
My son about my son's reading progress. I would like my children to share this passion with me. It is hard to find time to grab a book in this rushing world, and when you were little, somehow you always had time to read books. Then it stopped somewhere in middle school due to a busier schedule. I definitely noticed that this challenge to read a certain amount of books made you a better reader, or shall I say, a want-to-be reader. You got to the point when you wanted to sit down and read not just because you had to, but because you enjoyed reading. I'm happy that you shared some of the more interesting stories from your books with me. This assures me that you find some spark about books. Keep up the reading throughout the summer as well. Love, your mother.
My mom did notice some differences in myself reading. I'm reading more often, talking about the books to her, and I'm enjoying reading. Also, I'm interested in different types of books, not the same old teen drama. And if she could recommend a book to me, it would be The Glass Castle, because it's based on a true story about childhood. Now, she also noticed that I asked her to go Barnes & Noble a little bit more. It's true, I do, because I love reading.
Ben has always been a reader. Over the years, he has recommended books that I've enjoyed. The biggest difference I've noticed is in the titles of books he's reading. He has a great capacity for and finding the depth in characters and storylines. She recommends The Grapes of Wrath as something that she enjoyed a lot. And she said this year has been great for Ben. He has enjoyed reading a variety of books in various genres. I hope I'm reading this right. Her handwriting is weird.
I started to use vocabulary that he's never used before. I found that quite remarkable. I would recommend Gone with the Wind. It was one of my favorite books as a child.
Matthew has always been a selective reader, but this year he actually sat and read books for hours, which is something he's never done before. I would always have to encourage him to read, but this year he took it upon himself to get the books and read on his own. I am very happy about the changes in him. Thank you, Matt's mom.
My mom didn't recommend a book to me because she doesn't ever read, so there's that. She said that my reading habits really haven't changed, except that I asked her to actually buy me a book, and I've never done that before.
My mom said that she noticed that I was reading a lot this year, and the additional reading was from selected books in McCaffrey's class.
Okay, about my sponsor, how we don't plan on reading this time.
I guess.
Because they already say because.
Now